I'm gonna be flat out honest with you all. I utterly hate this show, for the sheer fact that I fall in love with it. Now, I must caution you all, this show will alienate you if you haven't seen Ikuhara's previous titles like Penguindrum and Utena, so upon viewing this as his first title, his style can be rather overbearing. But back to the topic at hand, there are some anime out there that can only be described as otherworldly, and Yuri Kuma Arashi is just that. Today I will be reviewing the anime Yuri Kuma Arashi, so without further ado, Kuma Shock! Yuri Kuma! Yuri Kuma Arashi, produced by Studio Silverlink, who created the best fate in the franchise, Fate Ilia, and also created Strike to Blood. Yeah, they done fucked up with that one. Directed by Ikuhara, the mastermind behind Penguindrum and Utena, it is a psychological fantasy seinen that consists of 12 episodes. The story of Yuri Kuma Arashi is set in a futuristic world where an asteroid titled Kumaria explodes in outer space. As a result, fragments rain down from the sky, and this causes bears from all over the world, like Yogi Bear, to initiate an attack on humanity. As a result, a huge wall of extinction erects between the two societies to bring peace, kinda like Attack on Titan and the Berlin Wall. One day, Academy student Kureha, who despises bears with a passion, is with her lover Sumika as the bear sirens begin to sound. Bears are attacking the human world, and questions begin to arise. Mysteries start to appear, and the Yuri will urinate all over your brain. To begin with, this anime is highly niche and it isn't for anyone, especially those who take things at face value and consider Ao Noah Zero a masterpiece. Before watching this anime, I'd recommend seeing a past Ikuhara work like Maru, Penguindrum, or Utena, so you are fully aware with Ikuhara's surrealist style of storytelling. If you take the story at face value, what you will perceive initially is just women and bears rubbing their carpets together in a harmonious fashion, with symbolism being thrown around here and there. But Yuri Kuma Arashi is a much more deeper anime, commenting on religion, love, and about conformity to the general public. Yuri Kuma Arashi's theme of homosexuality is often seen at face value rather than anything deeper, and I can't blame the average anime watcher for only seeing sex because of how the Yuri is portrayed in the medium with animes like Sakura Dick. But the homosexuality is utilized as a method to convey a commentary on how people identify the gay versus straight argument. Only in this anime is taken to the very extremes of its themes. The bears being represented as corrupted for having homoerotic feelings, while the females represent a type of religious purity that looks down upon those who have the qualities of a bear, which is shown through an abstract method of storytelling. Despite the name, Yuri Kuma Arashi after its first 3 episodes lacks any Yuri, which is honestly a pro, allowing the Yuri to be perceived as more of a symbolic meaning rather than fan service to the naked eye due to the non-overbearingness of it. Funny thing is though, the people who shun this anime for its nudity and sexual themes are the same people who will turn around and state that Elfin Lead is beautiful for the same exact goddamn reason. The homosexuality nods at biblical concepts stating that being with another person of the same gender is a sin, which is amplified to the extreme in the sense that being with the same gender, or in this case having bear-like behaviors, will cause you to be excluded and shunned by society, paralleling the Puritan age customs like the Scarlet Letter only on a grander scale. Other interpretations of the work see the student body as a religion-based government and the main characters as radicals. This brings me to the symbolism, which at times can be highly forced to the point where it gets jammed down your throat like abstinence in high school. Ikuhara is a crazy motherfucker, renowned for his symbolisms within his fiction, and this story is no exception. The show is like a puzzle piece, waiting to be solved by you, the viewer, and succeeds at being an interactive experience along the way. There is symbolism plastered everywhere, in the gardens, heck, even the wall itself is symbolic. Everything in this show is a physical representation of a theme, concept, or ideal. A gripe I had with the show was its pacing, specifically within its first 3 episodes, which were repetitive in nature, allowing for no variation, and was at times slower than a deaf person trying to use a Bop It toy. Also, the first 3 episodes were extremely jarring and indecipherable, which definitely hurt the series, and in that regard very difficult to follow in terms of its themes. But luckily it improves upon its initial flaws and becomes much more approachable to the audience by the end. But sadly, doesn't excuse those flaws in the first 3 episodes. Finally, a comment about the atmosphere and the world provided by the show. The atmosphere is uncanny, and it works hand in hand with the show's perplexing storytelling. As for the world, surprisingly, I had varied opinions. On one hand, the world expands on a grander scale with the addition of the Kuma Kingdom, but on the flip side, the human world seems a bit bland and consists only of Kureha's house and the school, which is kinda sad considering how the anime could have exploited its eccentric foundation to become something even better. The conclusion of the show was, a bit hit or miss depending on the person and how they interpret it. All I have to say though, it was pretty satisfying. Everything comes together and wraps up in a nice little bow. Now it's time to move on to the characters. characters. Yuri Kuma Arashi struggled in the beginning with characterization, but towards the conclusion, it repaired some of these issues quite a bit, and the characters managed to differentiate themselves from each other. However, an abundance of the cast still lacks in proper characterization as a result of their existence being solely for symbolic purposes. Kureha is initially portrayed as having a blind hate towards bears, desiring to witness their destruction, but as the series progresses, you learn a lot through her backstory on the reasons why she despises bears and how she became the person she is in the anime. She represents individualism as she acts outside of what society considers normal, which causes her character to be shunned by others, showing a great deal of growth as she copes with the society rejecting her, even though her character lacks a lot of depth. Ginko is a bear who appears to have her own agenda, and though unrelatable and bland in the beginning, she results in being unique and kind of relatable by the end. Seeing her on her endeavors is hilarious, and watching her grow from her experiences and develop truly fashions her as a well-written character. She gets proper backstory and, as witness, sticks insanely to her motivations, being revealed as a determined character, and is unarguably the best character of the show. And Lulu, who is also a bear that follows Ginko around on her journey, and provides for some zany humor along the way. She's highly outgoing and is portrayed as the Genki archetype, receiving some backstory, but she's not the most developed character. And in the end, she is characterized quite poorly. The rest of the characters arguably aren't characterized conventionally, which is to a certain extent true and can be perceived as a flaw, but the fact of the matter is that each character holds a purpose in the plot, mostly a symbolic purpose. Some characters represent desire, others have a more religious purpose, but in conclusion, they all hold some sort of purpose, though I do agree that the characters are the weakest part of the show, seeing how anyone outside the general cast has a lack of characterization. Moving on to the art and animation, Yuri Kuma's art can be described in 3 words: abstract as fuck. The use of color to convey symbolism and to show importance on certain elements within shots is astounding, and adds to the surrealist nature of the story. From the school's period blood red color to the lush forest of booger green, the colorization is on point. The character designs for the humans are somewhat bland, but as for the bears, they all look really eccentric and are eye-catching, like an ISIS member at a Protestant church. But though bland, the facial expressions on the characters are constructed extremely well, emphasizing the emotions each character feels. Lighting is the one thing that this show nails, with high-key and low-key lighting occurring at the right time to generate some wallpaper-esque gorgeous scenes. But sometimes, admittedly, the art can seem really minimalistic without much work being put into it. Also, another fault lies within the horrendous CGI that this anime uses, especially the bear claw, which looks worse than the girl who's depressed about Zayn Malik leaving One Direction. My god, why did they take this direction with the bear claws and a bunch of the CGI? It looks disgusting. The animation, however, is very inconsistent, with some areas appearing to be smooth, but in other areas it looks like Microsoft PowerPoint, which is such a shame considering that this is a psychological anime. The movements in the background characters are minimal to the point where it seems kind of lazy. But there are 2 sides to one coin, as Clinton showed us, where one side, the animation is ugly, but the other side, it sparkles and improves over the course of the show. All in all though, the art is presented in a unique fashion, while the animation, though lazy in the beginning, slowly begins to improve by the end, but the art and animation could have been a whole hell of a lot better. Shall I make note though that I appreciated the nods to Penguindrum, Utena, and even the movie The Shining that appeared in the background. Incorporating those references were pretty damn cool. As for the sound of Yuri Kuma Arashi, the OST can be described with 2 words: ominous and unique. This is an unusual show. The music highlights its unconventional nature by being extremely different from ordinary soundtracks. There is a sufficient amount of songs ranging from slow music for the passive melancholic scenes to swiftly paced haunting music accompanying intense scenes. The music is composed quite brilliantly and is reminiscent of old sci-fi horror-esque soundtracks. It also in some instances generates massive hyperboles within the show. Playing intense music over an event that is presented in a non-serious way is quite genius if you ask me. The opening and ending themes fit really well with the show, with the opening scene being very slow, yet it gets you immersed upon watching it. As for the voice acting, it's pretty varied. On one side you have Ginko and Kureha's voice actresses that represent the characters quite wonderfully, presenting emotions and confidence. On the other hand, you have the voice actress of Sumika and other assorted characters who sound more annoying than a North Korean watching the interview at a movie theater. In conclusion, Yuri Kuma Arashi is a very niche show that I'd only recommend to 2 types of people. 1, a person who's familiar with the work of Ikuhara like Penguindrum and Utena, or 2, a person who can look beyond the sexual aspects of the show and see the deeper underlying meanings rather than what's at face value. Now it's time for the scoring system. I kind of eliminated the number rankings because I thought number ranking stuff stuff was stupid. And plus, number ranking stuff leads to a lot of confusion within the audience, saying, "Oh, why is this higher than that?" Shut up, sheesh. So, to avoid that confusion, I'm going to stop using number ratings, and I'm just going to go by the mal ratings. So if you guys go on my anime list, you guys will see average, good, very good, and all the other jazz for the numbers, so you guys can probably figure out the range I put the show in. So, without further ado, Yuri Kuma is a good show, as a piece of social commentary, as well as entertainment, and I believe that this anime has become a cult classic. Thank you guys for watching. I'm finally back from my hiatus. I've been doing really well. You know, I got all the scripts down, and it's just so much fun. I just want to thank you guys for watching this review. Please join the Peggy community on Facebook if you guys want to talk about anime with me, or a lot of people who have joined my community. It's a really good community on Facebook you all should join. Also, check out my Twitter down in the description below, and also check out the Otaku podcast channel that I am a part of. And I will talk to you all later. Peace out, have a nice day, and shabba-dabba-doo.